my greatness and then present that on stage. It's something that I had to learn over time. And everyone would say it. I wish I could see what I wish you could see what I see, or we wish you could see what we see. And I just wasn't seeing it. And then I finally stood in front of that mirror and said, hey, I see it now. Put it forward.
Well, sometimes our ego, or coming from different communities, they've hyped you up so much to say this and that, and they haven't really experienced the pageantry in its full over years, because sometimes it takes a few years to learn Continental and understand how the system works and what they're looking for.
Agreed.
Now, and a lot of people in these small towns, such as Detroit, it's a big city, but yet it's a small community. And they might not understand the system the way you would understand it after being there 5 or 6 times.
Yes.
So now, with that being said, let's talk about something. I want to talk about this rumor here first. Last year, I interviewed Travis.
Okay.
Travis, Mr. Continental.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a rumor that he was straight. Did you hear that?
I did hear of the rumor, yes.
Okay. Now, when you heard this, what were your thoughts about this?
My thoughts about it were, one, it was none of my business what his sexual preference was. When it comes to competing, we all have talent. We are all competitors. Talent is talent. We're going to put it on the stage. There was, to be quite honest, there was no say or anything of that nature of who could actually compete for Mr. Continental, as some pageantry systems has. There, some say, hey, you have to be this in order to compete. Mm-hmm. And then there are some that leave it wide open for anyone to jump in. And this happened to be one of those times where, as someone who says or identifies as straight or bisexual or otherwise, slid in there because it's not something that's really asked. So it was one of those moments where, hey, he's a male competitor competing for a male competition.
Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, Travis explained to me that he just thought of himself as a competitor, like you just said. He just thought of himself as a competitor in the competition. But now, I'm sure when he came to your preliminary, I'm sure that was the talk of the town.
No, not really. I think that when he came to the preliminary, it was more so, as with any Mr. Continentals or any title holders, what is this title holder going to do or what they're going to present? I think that for a while that it ran its course, of his identity, because there were so many other things that were going on, but that just kind of ran its course.
Okay. Now I want to talk about one. We'll leave it there for now. We'll pick up down the road. Let's talk about another controversy. Something that we just happened to hear here.
Okay.
We asked you about it.
Okay.
Now, what happened this year for the opening performance of Mr. Continental?
His opening that addressed all the things that happened through the year for him or came across to him. Hey, when people do their opening, I feel that it's their way to speak to their reign. And as we all know, as you said earlier, that there was this rumor surrounding his sexuality or his sexual identity. And he finally had his moment to speak to it. Now, personally, it is something that I would not have done or I would not have touched. That would have been more of a conversation piece. Because honestly, I felt as though, as creative as it was and as visually amazing as it was. There was a lot of content that not only was, I'll say, a slight to the system, but
Mhm.
also to the supporters and patrons, because you have to be mindful that, at one point in time, these individuals were supportive of you, and you are always going to have those who are against you or who don't agree with you, but you know, that doesn't go across the full spectrum of people. And I felt like it was just, you know, a slap in the face to some, but I also feel that it was his way of expressing how he felt from his reign.
Okay, great. Let's talk about you now. Let's talk about you, Syvon Sinatra Sanchez. Now, where did you get Sinatra from?
So I am a huge fan of the Rat Pack, and uh, Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra are two of my favorite, and Sammy Davis, of course, are three of my favorites. And so I just love his voice. I loved his charm. I loved his wit. I love his charisma. And it was just one of those things. I was like, hey, how do I take my name and associate it with music, but a name that others would also know, and it would just have a ring to it. My whole name